All right. For my walk audit, I decided to do it here in town at Indianola at the intersection of South Buxton Street and West 2nd Avenue, which if you don't know where that's at, it's by Downey Tire in the post office, and there's a map on the next page I'll show you. Reasons for picking this location, it's by my apartment complex where I live somewhat, and it's also a road that I drive a lot slash just go by a lot in general. Here's the intersection where it's at. So right here, kind of left side of Downey Tire, and then here's the post office. Right here, this is also the sidewalk I walked on, is South Buxton. So from the post office to up here by the square when we get to that section. Summary of the walk and observation. Um, it was kind of eye-opening looking at some of the stuff, closely, just things that you wouldn't think about being a big deal until you actually sit down and look at it. Example of this is this picture up here, if you can see. There's like a lot of grass and weeds in the sidewalk, and it's probably not zoomed in enough, but there's like cracks here and it's a little bumpy where it could cause some hazards. But the overall summary just was just kind of interesting to see some of the stuff wrong with the sidewalk and intersection in general. Sidewalks, as I've already stated, this is going from the post office to the square. These are kind of the conditions on there. There's a lot of cracks. There's like broken rocks. And the cement, this is actually right here, this picture right here on the left this is a driveway right here. So it kind of gets cut off by a driveway. So it's like half sidewalk, half driveway. And as you can see, it's just really bumpy, which I just kept thinking, if someone had a wheelchair or just had, a walking impairment, it'd be very difficult and uncomfortable to walk on in general. Driver behavior. So it's a busy road, so there's a lot of traffic, so there's a lot of cars going by. People don't stop behind the crosswalks very often that I notice, which isn't something that's like too surprising because I know I'm guilty of it sometimes too. Drivers do seem unfocused for the most part. I saw a couple on their cell phone. Some of them were just like even just talking to the person next to them, just weren't totally focused on what was going at hand, which could be concerning if you're a pedestrian trying to cross the road. So safety wise, this kind of goes back to the drivers too. There's a lot of traffic if you were going to cross the street, so there'd be a lot of stuff that you'd have to kind of be weary of slash waiting for the crosswalk and whatnot to turn to make sure that you felt safe going across the road, especially because cars do go by fast quite a bit. Comfort and appeal wise, it doesn't have great comfort. There's no benches. There's no drinking fountains or anything like that. So it's kind of just a normal intersection, nothing crazy. So comfort wise, it doesn't make you feel too comfortable. Bathroom wise, if you really needed to go to the bathroom, there are places like Downey that you could go at, but obviously it's not very typical just to go to a business to go to the bathroom. Also, going with comfort landscape wise, there's a lot of grass that doesn't look great. The sidewalks that we mentioned, as I have mentioned, don't look great. They have weeds growing out of the sidewalks, and there's cracks. So the overall landscape of it doesn't really comfort you either. Things learned. I think one of the biggest things I learned is that just sitting down and taking a bigger look at things can really open your eyes to some hazards that may be in your community, especially things that seem just very simple to take care of, such as maintaining the sidewalk. It doesn't seem like a big deal to someone that is fine or doesn't walk around a lot, or just someone that isn't disabled, but someone that has a wheelchair or other impairment, or maybe they're blind or something. It can be a really big deal. So I think it's just interesting to sit down and look deeper into things like that. Things I would change. I think the biggest thing I would change, obviously, is just maintaining the sidewalks themselves in general, and just flattening them out and taking out those cracks and just making sure it's smoother overall. Because obviously, like I said, that's kind of the biggest concern in the intersection right now is just it doesn't have the best terrain if you're going to get across. So I think the biggest thing you do would just be maintain those and then just keep them the same. And then maybe going with comfort, maybe adding like a water fountain or restrooms of some sort nearby in case someone did ever want to use those.